Yeah. We're live. Are you on now? Well, hello. Welcome in to another edition of Sibling Sleuths. I'm Susan, and we have to the left or right of me. You don't know this, but I'm pointing at my sister in law, Christy, and we have John, who camera is fixing his camera. Okay, we'll give it a couple minutes. We don't have any live viewers anyway. Oh, we do have somebody watching. Christy, and we have John, who is. Okay, let me mute that. Christy, can you. Or you're not muted, are you? Christy? Okay, it looks like she froze. Yes, she done did. Okay, I apologize, folks. Let's just give it a couple minutes and hopefully they'll get on again. Okay. But I hope everybody is doing well today. I know today here in Pennsylvania, where I am, it was a beautiful day with the sun. It was really good to see that. And, you know, okay, let's see here. Okay, so they're going to come right back. They just had an internet drop, as you can tell in the chat. But if you know anything about this case and want to jump in and chat, if you have any questions, go ahead and feel free to ask questions. If there's a case that you want to see us cover, go ahead and drop us a chat as well. We'd be more than happy to cover it. Looking forward to this case. I mean, it's a none of these cases are nice, but it was a very interesting case. And I tried to do some research on why he did the things that he did and like how his early life was, but unfortunately there's been no, if there was any to be had, I could not find any research on why Karl Karlson was the way he was. So we won't have any discussion this week about, and there's our collab cams. Okay, let me see here. Okay, let me get them. Oops, get them back. Okay, hello, you're back. Hello, John, you're back. Okay, Christy, are you okay? Okay, yep, mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Huh, I can see you on camera on the overlay. Okay, remember that the live stream is delayed just by like I don't know, 20 to 30 seconds. So, yeah, that's okay. Sometimes I forget too. So, okay. Let me Okay. So, How are you guys doing today, John and Christy? How was your week? Well, we have the holidays coming up, Easter, so Friday. We haven't had Friday yet. Oh, last Friday. Oh, well, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, I got confused. I'm sorry. Okay, hold. Okay, for some reason there is no volume. Yeah, but for some reason there's no volume on you, either one of you. I can't re. Yeah, you're back on camera. Or is your mic's on? What did we have to do before? Okay, hold me. My volume is up for you guys. I don't remember. Yeah. Okay, I have your guys' volume all the way up. Oh, I'm trying to remember what I did. Okay, wait a minute. Shared video source? No. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, can you guys say something? Okay. So, did your guys' team win? Hmm. Oh, still can't hear you, and I don't know why. Both. I don't remember what the problem was last time. And I'm pretty sure it's not me. Okay, yeah, my thing is not connected. Uh-uh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, let me look. Okay, let me look at the audio settings. Maybe that was the issue. That could definitely be the problem. Um, okay. Default. Default. My audio is not muted. Okay, guys, go ahead and talk and see if that helps any. I uh I went ahead and did some audio settings. So go ahead and talk. Yes, if you're in chat, if you guys can hear my co-host, please let me know. They're doing a test right now.
Check, check, check. It says on my mic that it's going through.
Hmm.
Yeah, my mic says it's going through too. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, let me see here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Wait,
Yep.
hold on, what's this say?
They're still not saying anything, so it's gotta be on. Okay, my webcam, lab cam. Oh, okay. I can't see the chat.
The picture, the video of you to the left, Susan. There's two of them, and the one to the left is frozen. So
Can
I
you
think
see
maybe
the
try and pick
chat?
up.
Okay, you guys can be heard now. Okay, I'm gonna have to. You guys remember next week when we go live, remind me to check the mic settings.
Yes, dear.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we are good to go. John will get his camera back on as soon as he can, and let's
Dear Johnny Glaze.
go ahead and get moving. Thank you so much, Jamie Cameron, for the help in chat. I really appreciate it. So let's get started. So today we are talking about
There we go.
Karlson. So we're gonna just kind of go in chronological order. A lot of the research I got was from a special on 2020 and some other sources like Dateline and a lot of other YouTube articles.
Yeah, I got a lot of my information from a clip from that show Snap, but 2020 is like when they do the research on this stuff, they are like top notch.
Yes. And after the show is over, I will I'll put a link in the description from that series on YouTube because it is really good. And you can see some of the pictures about what we're talking about because I have yet to figure out how to do pictures yet. Once we get more technological advanced, we'll start adding some, images to our podcast. But right now, we're having trouble with the audio. So until we get that figured out, we're just going to keep moving the way we are. So, Karlson. Now, as I was saying earlier, if you were here, probably not, but I did try to do some research on Karl's early life because as, when we started this podcast, I like to try to find out what happened in their childhood. Are there any signs in their childhood? And I didn't find anything.
That's the weird thing. Usually there's something in their childhood or in their past that made them the way they are. But there's some of these people that it's just like it came straight out of the blue and everyone around them and everyone that hears them is like, what is wrong with you? And they're, dude, no.
Yeah, and so I didn't find anything. But what I did find out that is Karlson, his family was very reputable in Seneca Falls, New York. That's where the family was from, and he was real reputable. He had a very good reputation. So when Karl became an adult, okay, hold on, okay.
Now what's wrong?
We're getting some feedback, maybe from an air conditioner or a fan, I believe, in the audio.
My fan's off.
Give me a second. I'll turn the AC over here off. Oh, my gracious. There we go. Is it better?
I will let you know if it's better.
All right. Thank you.
But we'll keep going. So after Karl became an adult, he went into the Air Force. And while he was there, he met Christina. This is back in the 80s. So, of course, they got married and they had 3 kids together. After he discharged from the military service, Christina's dad offered him a job at a sheet metal business. So they moved to Northern California, blah, 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 Northern California, to a small town of Murphy. Now, when they moved there, they moved to a small country town. The house that they moved into apparently was like a fixer-upper, and it needed a lot of work. But Christina went and she just fixed it up herself little by little, and she spent a lot of hours making that house a home for her family. And
Another reason for me not like this guy, because his wife sounds like a great person, can do gal. Sorry.
yeah, I mean, she tried to do everything that she could for her family. And the two girls, Erin and Katie, those were her two daughters. Their recollections of the house or that time period, is their dad wasn't home much. But when he was home, it was very tense. So,
Was he one of those guys that gets out of the military and still has a military brain? That everything has to be perfect because I was in the military and that's the way it is.
That's you have a fair point. They said that when he was home, he was very controlling.
There it is.
And
I was asking, but you answered my question.
Yeah, he had to have things his way, and we all know people like that. I mean, it's just that personality, but I think his personality was like worse. You always have leaders and followers, but he had to have things his way. Well, it got so bad that by the end of 1990, Christina decided she was going to leave her husband.
Ooh.
She decided, I'm done. I can't take this anymore. She was going to go live with her sister. But she wanted to have one last Christmas as a family. So she was going to leave after the holidays. So, they had their holidays together. And I don't know. What I would like to know is if Karl knew she was going to leave.
Well, here's an interesting thing that I just found. It said that his career was transporting nuclear weapons for the U.S. Air Force.
Oh, okay.
So it makes you wonder maybe if that exposure to the radiation had
Maybe.
something to do with it.
Possible.
That's
Not that it's right.
Yeah, and
But-
I don't think the controlling stuff, that's like in your personality. But, that could have made him a little loopy, because as we will go on in the story, a lot of things happen.
Yeah.
So, 1991, it's New Year's Day. So, they just celebrated the holiday, and Christina puts the three kids down for a nap. And then she decides to take a bath. Perfect time to take a nap when the kids are napping. She can have some alone time. Karl tells the investigators while this is going on that he was in the attic working on a fan. And they had one of those like old style lamps in the attic. And he used that light. And he says the light was on and that he forgot to turn it off. So, after he's done working on the fan, he goes to the garage. The garage is about 50 feet away from the house. And all of a sudden, he hears his wife screaming his name. So he turns around, and he sees fire and smoke. And he hears Christina telling him to get the kids. Because, of course, what mother is going to worry about herself first? They're always going to go get the kids first.
Oh, yeah.
Take care of the youngins.
Yeah. So he gets Levi first. And this is kind of kind of crazy. I don't know why, and this like sounds very painful, but he grabbed Levi first, and he yanked him by the hair out of the
Yeesh.
window. He crashed the window to get Levi out, and maybe because there was fire, I don't know why. It never said. I never found any research on why he decided to grab him by the hair, because after he grabbed Levi, he grabbed the girls, and nothing was said about him yanking them by their hair. But he pulled them all out of the window. So after he pulls them out, he takes them to his truck. And when he puts them in the truck, he tells them, get down, don't look, because, I guess what parent would want you would think anybody else that's not thinking like a criminal, you don't want your kids to see, what they're seeing. I mean, the house is on fire and their mother is in there.
Yep.
He tells them to turn around. He has them hunker down in the truck, and he tells them specifically, do not look. But of course, they're kids. They're probably scared. And honestly, when an adult tells you not to do something,
That's the first thing you do. That's the first thing you do. Yep. That's the very first thing you do. Oh, rats.
And the girls say they remember they looked and their dad was not even running toward the house. He slowly just kind of walked towards the house and really made no valid attempt to get their mom out of the house. Now, he told investigators that he tried, but by the time he got to the house, the flames were too high to the door. So he couldn't. That's what he told investigators. There was no way he could get her. So he goes back to the truck, and before the fire trucks or first responders even get there, he tells the kids that mommy's gone to heaven.
Wow.
Now, what's that tell you?
It sounds sus, as the kids would say.
Yeah. And Christina was found in the bathroom, doubled over with a rag over her face. And it was later determined that the cause of death was actually smoke inhalation. It wasn't the flames. She didn't get burned. She died from the smoke.
And that's how most people, like trapped in fires, die, is they suffocate from the smoke long before the flames get them.
Right. And even
and that's not that in itself. I think I would probably rather want to burn than deal with the smoke, because I want to say it was 2001 or 2002. I worked at a group home, and one of the clients actually caught the whole kitchen on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And my job was, I had to stand in the spot and then like meet everybody when the fire alarms went off. Well, when everybody got there was still like 6 or 7 clients, and I was told, don't go in. But when you're in that situation,
If you're carrying
there's
human being,
people
you go.
there, I gotta get them out. Well, I went in. It was so smoky in there, and I mean, I had to run up 3 sets of. It was a 3-story building, and I had to run up the 2nd floor, knock on everybody's door, 3rd floor, knock on everybody's door, and by the time I got out, the paramedics had to put me in an ambulance, and I mean, I was just horrible. And he's like, you could have died from just the smoke inhalation. I'm like,
right.
Okay. So I've been almost close through it.
But this goes to prove our case that any normal human being would do what they could to
A caring
try
individual would.
to save someone, especially your wife.
Right.
And he
and to put somebody through that, though, I mean, it just shows that he didn't care about her
right.
At all.
Well, Christina's family was very suspicious. So, they must have known his controlling ways, and they went back to the house. And you can see videos on YouTube during the 2020. They show the video that the family took of the fire afterwards.
Right.
And because they wanted to know, why could she not have gotten out? Why couldn't she have gone through a window herself? She's not like kids. Kids, they wouldn't know what to do in a situation.
And
like
they probably freak out.
yeah.
Yeah.
But why could she not get out? Well, a few days prior to the fire, Christina accidentally broke the window with a plunger. And Karl, instead of getting someone to fix it with the window, with glass, he put an old wooden board over the window. And he used 17 nails to put this board in the window. Karl also claimed years later that the window was only big enough to pass a baby through that window. So even if he could have gotten that window open, she wouldn't have been able to fit through.
Now, was this a one-story house, two-story house?
I believe it was one story, but I don't 100% know.
I don't think they said in a lot of the things I read that there was,
But, he was able to get the kids out if they were in bedrooms. Usually, if it's a two-stories, the bedrooms are on the second floor.
Well,
and the son was preaching, wasn't he?
The only reason I said that is I'm not 100% sure, but I'm almost... And when did this happen?
They were kids. The three were little kids. They weren't older yet.
No, I'm saying when did this...
The fire...
I can't remember the date.
I have the date written down, I believe. It was 1991. Yeah, it was in 1991.
I would imagine the fire codes are still the same. I believe that fire codes and for a window, an adult has to be able to go through the window.
Yeah, and
So for him to sit there and say that, that's got to be a crock of bull.
Well, it was, and the video that the family took, you could clearly see that the window was big enough. But it was covered by wood with 17 nails in there.
Yeah.
Right. So she wasn't getting out.
Did you also read in there that he told people, and I believe he told the fire department and the marshal and everything, that they couldn't afford to get that window fixed?
Yeah, I didn't see that, or I didn't write that down in my notes, or I don't recall that. But it wouldn't surprise me. He had an excuse for everything.
Yeah, no reasons and a million excuses. He's
he just. But and the thing is, so we find out after the fire. Well, first off, we're going to talk about how the fire started, because that's the big thing. How did the fire start?
That was going to be my next question.
So,
how was it started?
Karl's story is Christina brought home a 5-gallon jug of kerosene, because they did use kerosene heaters in the house. It's winter. And it was accidentally knocked over by the family pets. So even though you can get kerosene out of a rug, I am sure that it's still in the carpet area. I would
that soaks in. And there's probably fumes.
Yeah. So he thinks his theory was the light from the attic that he left on, as so he said, that the light fell and that made the fire start.
Nope.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you what he said. This is not what happened.
Right, keep going. I know, but see how that's debunked is, did you know you can take a lit cigarette and throw it into a bucket of gasoline and it will not catch fire?
Okay. Well, here's the
She's
thing.
saying
what catches is the fumes. Right. So a light is not going to catch a carpet full soaked with kerosene unless
there's a lot of fumes.
Yeah. Well, even then a light won't spark it.
Well,
something.
Like I said, this is Karl's story.
He's a teller of tales, obviously.
Right. And he thinks that he's good enough and controlling enough that they're going to believe this.
I'm a military man. I got this, I got that. Yeah.
19 days prior to this fire, he took out a $200,000 insurance policy.
Yeah.
So, State Farm Insurance, which is the one that had the policy, sent out an investigator because it is a fire. They have to investigate. And it was determined that the guy that went out and did the investigation had suspicions about arson. And through the investigation that he did, he determined that that light, due to filaments in the lights, or I don't understand all the science behind that, but this guy did. But basically, he was able to tell by the way the light was that that light wasn't even on when the fire started.
Oh,
Wow.
So
because those filaments would have been hot.
I'm gonna say
yeah.
a light wouldn't have started a fire.
No, the filaments don't have. I don't think they would have generated enough heat, even especially if they hadn't been on, obviously. But even if they were on, it takes. I would think it takes a lot of heat to ignite fumes.
right. And he also found evidence of a second kerosene pour right before the fire started.
See, that's why they get them guys for investigators for insurance companies, because them guys know what to look for.
Well, this guy filed his report. He thought for sure that, investigators would investigate it and, the company wouldn't pay out the money. But somehow it got either missed, lost, overlooked, not enough evidence, I don't know what. They paid the money out to Karl.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that when I read it. I was like,
That's crazy.
there's so much suspiciousness, and they still were like, and
But what I don't
ahead.
understand here, once again, because I've been in a similar situation where our house was caught fire. And pretty much it happened at 4 o'clock in the morning. And we left our house at 9 o'clock. And they had the fire marshal out there. And he knew right away it was arson.
Well, gotta remember, this was 1990. Maybe there wasn't as much known. I don't know. But obviously, the guy knew what he was doing and said, something's not right here. And somehow it got. Wires were crossed, reports were lost. I don't know.
I don't understand how the fire marshal didn't discover it. I mean, that's what
Another
amazed
thing.
me.
Well, there was a police investigator on it. But
Right.
here's what the problem was. Karlson moved to New York 4 days after the fire.
what? And this is the thing that really makes me angry about it. I read the report that I read said he didn't stay for the funeral service for Christina, didn't even buy her a headstone. He just, as soon as he got that money, he was gone like the wind. Like, seriously.
I bet
Took
he
the
didn't even
kids,
wait
packed-
for the money. They probably mailed him a check. He
Yeah.
was gone in 4, and I don't know how long that process works, but it was
But
probably longer than 4 days. He did not stick around. He
Nope.
left. He took
He
his
took them-
kids and he left.
packed the stuff, took them kids, gone. Like, just, I mean,
And-
her family was like, where'd he go?
And before he left, the family was kind of questioning the kids a little bit. And, they didn't really say anything. All they just said is, there was a fire and mommy is in heaven. That's all they said, which, they're kids.
Yeah.
Right.
But they kind of wanted to see if the kids would say anything.
And that's probably one of the reasons he took off so quick, is he realized his in-laws were going to quiz his kids, and
Yeah. And honestly, that tactic worked for Karlson, because the investigator that was put on the case wanted to keep investigating because they didn't have enough evidence, according to this investigator. They did not have enough evidence to, make any charges. He wanted to question Karl, but
And one of the-
they
and
didn't
the-
want to spend the money to send the investigator to New York.
Yep. And the report I read about the insurance thing is because the police deemed there was not enough evidence to charge him with anything. That's why the insurance payment went through.
Okay.
And I was like, come on!
But even still, you would think. But yeah, I mean, so much stuff. And the investigator kept all his files. He said that when he retired, that was the only case that he kept all his files and documents and evidence for, was that case, which later on we'll find out was a good thing.
Yes.
But
Good
so
man.
before, or after he moves to New York, he's by his family again, and he meets a young lady by the name of Cindy Best. They met while line dancing. Cindy was looking for a line dancing partner, and yeah, so they met line
Heck of a partner.
dancing. And she says she felt sorry for him because, of course, Karl tells her the sad story of how he lost his wife in a fire, horrible. I'm sure that he played it up, and so that way all sympathy was on him. I can just imagine.
See, the report I read was from, like I said, it wasn't from Snapped. It was, what was it? I can't remember. It's a show on Oxygen, and they said that they didn't say it. What happened? Shoot, give me a minute. They said that she didn't know all the facts, which, if he's telling her everything, obviously she didn't know everything. Right. But the whole thing it's already interesting. Stuff gets wild.
Right.
I can say one thing already. Just narcissist.
Big time.
Right.
Controlling, all that jazz.
And they got married. I guess it's not quick. To me, it seems quick, but they married in 1993. So I guess it really wasn't that quick. But he moved on. He met her in 1991, so he didn't take a lot of time to grieve. But
I can kind of see the reason, because he got 3 little kids. He needs 3
Exactly.
kids he needs to raise, and probably wants someone to come in as a mother figure and everything. But still, the oldest one had to think, wow, my head, turned my head that fast. Jeez.
Yeah, and here where with Cindy, we'll learn more about Cindy, but you kind of have to look at everything objectively. She said a lot, but she didn't incriminate herself at all. I don't believe that she had anything to do with any of the fraud that we're going to talk about. But at the same time, I don't think she stopped some of the stuff. And maybe she couldn't because he was so controlling. But you'll see what I mean.
Yeah,
later.
I think that's more of what it is. I think she didn't realize how controlling he was. But it's like you said, maybe she would, maybe if there was a point that she could have said something, but maybe she was too intimidated because he was such a controlling jerk. Who knows?
Right. But the girls said that their dad used a lot of physical work as discipline in the house. They had to do a lot of household chores. They had to do the cooking, the sweeping, the laundry. He would make them carry 10-gallon buckets of water. Now, the household chores, I don't have a problem with household chores. Household chores are good for kids. Now, if he made them do everything, okay, maybe not, but I don't know. That didn't seem
the 10-gallon bucket, that's
that is abuse.
Yeah.
He made them carry the 10-gallon buckets of water from the house to the barn, and he would make them do it until they were so physically exerted they couldn't handle it anymore. Cindy claims she didn't see any physical abuse, but the girls said that he did physically abuse Levi. And according to the girls, Karl said that the reason that he would hit Levi is because he was a man and he could take it. He had a lot of problems with Levi. I guess Levi did have some kind of learning disability. And he had a rough time. And if Dad was abusing him, there's trauma there. So of course, he's going to be very, have some probably behavior discipline problems. Levi moved out when he was 16. So he couldn't take it anymore, and he moved out.
I don't blame him at all, because it sounds to me like that was a toxic household. And, when you got one abusive parent and the other basically probably it sounds like she was turning a blind eye. That's just my opinion. That's not, I don't know what happened, but just the way it sounds. And from my own personal experience, when you have one parent that's abusive, the other parent could go into self protect mode and they just, blinders over the face. I see nothing. I hear nothing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
like I said, it's just a matter of self protection, which to a point I get. But when you have children, you cannot afford to be shut yourself down like that. You need to protect your kids because these
Right.
are
Right.
innocent human beings. They can't protect themselves. But no, we got these. You got all these adults want to protect themselves and everything. Bully for you. No one's looking out for these kids.
And when Levi was 17, he actually started to question things that happened when
Good.
they were kids. And he was actually very suspicious that their dad killed their mom. And he was even telling people this. And it got to a head one point where him and his dad actually got into a physical altercation over it. So, yeah. Now, when Levi was 18, he had his first daughter, and then he had another daughter 2 years later. He did marry this woman, but they divorced soon after. I mean, early marriage, not really, you know, too young to get married, but they had,
Oh yeah.
but he had 2 kids, and having the kids actually made him more responsible. He got a job at a
Yep.
glass factory because he wanted to take care of his kids.
Yeah.
So,
Good thing.
meanwhile, in 2002, Karl and Cindy had a big barn, and they had a prized Belgian mare and 2 babies.
Horses.
Yes, 2 baby horses.
That's what I
I'm sorry,
figured.
I should qualify.
That's okay.
Cindy also had kids during this time as well. I cannot remember how many. It really wasn't that important, so I don't believe I took any notes about it.
Were I think her kids were with their father, weren't they? Because I never heard anything about her kids like being with having. I don't
know
remember
they
hearing
had
about
at
blended
least a
family
son,
situation.
but I don't want to, because I didn't
Yeah.
take notes about it because I was more.
It didn't really seem important to the whole thing. When talking about Karl Karlson and Felford on his kids, Cindy, Christina before, and that jerk.
Right. So, he had this Belgian mare, 2 baby horses. Well, Karl, of course, takes out an insurance policy on the barn and the
No.
horses for $150,000. So, one night in 2002, Cindy's asleep. Karl gets up, looks out the window, and says, "Oh no, the barn's on fire."
No, not the horses.
So
Come
they
on,
lost
dude.
the Belgian mare and 2 babies, but they got, $150,000, and there was no no suspicion of anything. But after that happened, I don't even think that Cindy really, at the time it was like, okay, it's a tragic fire, it is what it is.
More of what I call turtle syndrome. If there's like trauma or some kind of bad stuff happening, turtles will. I don't know if this is true. I've always heard turtles stick their head in the ground. No, ostrich syndrome. That's what I'm talking about. Like when stuff gets too rough for ostriches, they bury their head in the sand or whatever.
Right.
Because I've had family members do that, and it drives me insane. I'm like, I need help, and they're like, nope, and I'm like, ugh.
Right. So in 2008, Levi, now, as I told you, he was becoming more responsible. He had this job working at a glass place, making money for his kids, because for Levi, it was all about his kids. Well, he was working on his truck one day in 2008, and Karl and Cindy had to go to a funeral for her aunt. So before they left, Karl has Cindy get in the truck or the car, whatever they were driving that day. And Karl says, "I'll be right back. I'm going to go to the barn and tell Levi we're leaving." Well, by 2008, Levi and Karl had kind of were working on the relationship. So it wasn't as volatile. That happens when kids grow up. They kind of learn that, okay, things may not be as bad. And you know what? They want their parents. They
Yeah.
want their parents. So,
Especially if he's got 2 kids, he's gonna, want his parents' support in his life and everything, and
right.
yeah.
So apparently Levi had asked to work on his truck in the barn. So Karl goes to tell him, we're leaving, we're going to this funeral, blah, blah, blah. Gets in the car, they go to the funeral. They're gone about 4 hours. They come back. Karl finds Levi crushed underneath the truck.
Jeez.
He comes in, tells Cindy what happened. She calls 911. There's recordings of the 911 calls if you want to look for them on YouTube. The 911 operator tells Cindy, okay, can you guys do CPR? And Karl says that his chest is crushed, that there's no way to do CPR. It was that bad. Now, they both seem really grief-stricken when the investigators come out to investigate it. Nothing seemed to be wrong. But guess what? There was another life insurance policy. But nobody knows about this insurance policy. Now remember, Levi has 2 kids. Normally, who do you leave the insurance policy to?
Your kids, or whoever's watching the kids.
Yeah, exactly, or the guardian of the kids. Well, so Karl tells his wife several days later about this insurance policy. So what happens is Karl tells Levi, oh, let's go see this insurance agent. You're working at a hazardous job, working at a glass factory, and you should probably get life insurance for your kids so that, you have money to take. He must have played it up. Because, let's face it, when you're that young, who really is worried about life insurance?
Right.
I know
when
I
your parents
wasn't
are,
in my 20s.
And when your parents are advising you, you think that, with him trying to repair his relationship with his father, he probably thought, he's giving me some good advice. I do work in a dangerous job. I need to protect my kids.
Well, and not only that, guess who paid the first premium in cash?
Probably Dad.
It wasn't Levi, it was Karl. So you know what? If someone was to come to me and say, hey, well, now after this, I don't know if I would do that. But, if my dad, who I trusted, had come and said, oh, let's put life insurance on you, I would trust my dad to do that. You know what I mean? Especially if he's going to pay the policy. But, this policy was worth $700,000.
Because he was thinking about protecting his kids if something happened. Not that, Grandpa's psycho idiot.
And according to what Karl said, Levi did not want the mom of his kids. According to Karl, Levi didn't want the mom of his kids to have it because he didn't trust her. I put insurance on you. Okay, Cleveland fan, 1990.
I'll help pay for it.
But
Susan, we're going to Tahiti right now. Like these two, no, we're going to Tahiti. I'm protecting you, girl.
But now this policy did have a provision in it, and this is what's interesting. He had to take a physical in order for this policy to go through.
Right.
But what they did not disclose to the insurance agent is that Levi had some kind of swallowing disorder. So that could have, either they might have had to change the policy or maybe put something in. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about insurance, but that could have definitely affected this policy. And he was supposed to take that physical the day after he died.
Wow.
So he was scheduled to take it. Now, tell me if that's a coincidence or not.
That's suspicious there.
That's totally suspicious. Because if Karl knew he needed to take a physical, he probably figured that Levi would flunk it if he had some kind of swallowing disorder.
Right.
Because insurance companies are really, they're really flaky. Well, I don't want to say flaky. They're really strict about those physicals. And if they find something like, high blood pressure, if you have a heart condition, they will either not cover you or your premiums are going to be sky high.
Right. My husband, his premiums are sky high because he's had cancer.
And it's ridiculous.
Yeah. But, so, Even though there was this provision about the physical, the insurance company still paid out. It was investigated, and apparently, there was no suspicion of anything wrong.
Jeez.
Now, according
I'm
to
firewall.
this handwritten will that Karl had, it was handwritten, and it was dated the day of Levi's death.
Does nobody? Oh!
Yeah. Now, apparently, the people that were investigating this accident had no idea about this. But then again, what person in their 20s really has a will or worries about insurance? These investigators may not have even known about this.
Yeah, when I was in my 20s and someone said, "Don't you think you have to have insurance?" Why? When you're in your 20s, if you're still kind of a kid, you feel like you're going to live forever.
Right. So,
Yep.
like, they didn't. I'm assuming that whoever investigated this, they just saw it as an accident. I mean, and it looked like an accident. So, this will that was, supposedly everything was left to Karl. He was supposed to distribute these funds out to the kids. Well, Karl never even told the mom about this policy. Nobody knew about the policy.
Wow.
And so he was supposed to use this for the kids. Well, here it turns out he would never used it for the kids. Now, when they interrogated Karl about this interrogation, and I did watch the interrogation.
Is it on YouTube?
On YouTube, yeah.
Oh,
And I believe it was in
find
the
that.
interrogation, or they actually interrogated him for 9 hours. So I didn't watch it all at once. I watched it in chunks. But, he said he would, ask the mom if she wanted food. So he would help her.
Oh, hogwash. Come on, dude.
And so,
Take care of your
he
grandkids.
helped her with, those things.
Shh.
So instead, he used the money to buy ducks.
What?
Ducks. He decided to start a gourmet duck farm. I kid you not.
Oh, I
He
believe
was
you. I'm
going
just.
to buy these ducks and sell them to gourmet restaurants that serve duck.
Duck all
Cindy
around.
said it started off with 10 ducks, and then it went to 1,000 ducks, and she said they were just bleeding with this business because she said the price of duck food. I just think it was more than Karl could handle.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, ducks.
Oh, I bet they were hemorrhaging money. And here's the
They
thing.
were.
Ducks, people that own ducks, even one or two as pets, will tell you straight up, when they poop a lot and it stinks. I mean, ducks and geese the same way. Birds are nasty. I'm sorry.
Well, I know that on my ranch simulator game, I have chickens, and they poop a lot. Granted, I don't smell it because it's a virtual game, and I'm kidding, but I can just imagine how much.
I was going to say it. I bet you're thank God this is a game, because if it was real, I would.
Yeah, they poop everywhere. And the more
Put a
chickens
cork
you
in that
have,
duck. Come on.
the more poop you have. So,
Yes.
I mean, she said they was hemorrhaging money. They also, though, Karl was buying new vehicles. They were taking vacations. And Cindy knew
he was
about
living
this
high on the
policy.
hog with that money.
So, yeah, but Cindy went along with those vacations. So that's why I'm but after 2 years after Levi's death, money's starting to go down.
Because he spent it all.
Right. So then,
stupid ducks and.
she begins to question him about all the money being spent. And he does what he wants. He won't say anything to her.
Because he's a control freak.
Right, he's a control freak. So she starts thinking about things.
Uh-oh.
And she thinks about the barn fire, the wife's death. She had to have heard the argument between Levi and her, Levi and his dad.
Oh, she knew about his first wife dying?
She had to have. Yeah, well, she knew that he died in a fire. I mean, he told her. He may not have told her the true story, but she knew the wife died in the fire.
See, what I read was she didn't know, and she hired a private investigator, and that's how she started finding out about everything. And I'm like, go, girl. But
No,
I mean,
she knew that there was a
wow.
fire, and I think she wanted proof. I really
Yep.
do. But I think she was starting to piece together, because if she did have suspicions, why did she hire an investigator?
Yeah.
I mean, at one point she got really scared because money was starting to go down. I mean, you think about it. He put a life insurance on his wife. She's dead. He had these expensive horses. They're dead. Then Levi, he's dead.
and put a life insurance policy on his son
Yeah.
for over 3 times the amount the one for his first wife, and it's like someone needs to put these puzzle pieces together. Sis, come on, this is not rocket science. Things are not right.
Right. So
Can we take a 2-second break? Dan and Jamie, if you're still watching in the chat, or if you're still watching the stream, type in the chat, both of you.
can we do the break? Was the break over?
That,
Is the break over? She said.
I'm going to see if they type in the chat.
Why? What happened?
You'll see.
What'd you make them? Admins or something?
Uh-huh.
That's cool. Okay.
I
That's
want
all
to make sure that it went through though.
Okay. Jamie's dead.
Yep, Jamie's did.
Okay.
Jamie, you got a wrench to your name. You could put people in timeout if they're being stupid.
And so did Cleveland fan.
Okay.
It's all good. So back to the story, because I'm invested so much that
I just wanted to make sure that worked real quick.
Okay. So she's starting to question things. And keep in mind
About
too
time.
that Karl's kids are getting older. They probably are reaching out to family members on the other side. And one of them actually even came to Cindy to question her about all the money that they had. She wouldn't
past
answer. According
tense.
to the daughter, she just refused to answer. I just put everything on Karl. So
ask your dad. He's the money man.
yeah. But she starts to question this, and she gets so scared that she actually starts putting a knife under her pillow before she goes to sleep at night.
Wouldn't you be scared? You start putting pieces together, realizing stuff about the man that you're married to, and his first wife died in a fire, and he just got, all of a sudden he got, rich and everything, and it's like, I better learn how to protect myself, or I'm going to be next.
So she does, as Christy says, she hires a private investigator because she's just really concerned, and the private investigator finds out that Karl has a life insurance policy on her.
Wow.
For $1.2 million. That's how much.
What?
That's how much Cindy's
I
worth. Dead.
I didn't know that. I didn't know how much the life insurance policy was. I knew he put one on her. I didn't know it was 1.2 mil. Holy cow.
Did
she know that he put one on her?
No.
No, she did not know.
Oh.
He never but the investigator found that out. So Cindy starts talking to her cousin. And, she's talking about how scared she is. She does eventually leave him and moves out because she's so scared. And she talks to her, some of her relatives, cousins. Well, the cousins are really concerned. They send in a tip to the police department. So they start investigating. And, they find out about the fire with his ex-wife. They also find out that there was a fire before the ex-wife, where this may have started Karl's fraudulent ways. He had in 1986, he had a Mustang.
Oh, not the Mustang, dude.
And it had $10,000 insurance on it. And it caught fire. There was nothing in the car. There was nothing in the glove box. There was nothing in the trunk. And it caught fire.
Wow. That's suspicious as heck.
Yeah.
And they paid him?
But they paid out. Yeah. They still so that was probably at least the first one that's documented.
I was going to say, that tripped his trigger for the money.
And that was only $10,000. I mean, $10,000 is a lot of money. But if you compare that to all the other ones, it seems like the money amounts just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
But
he gets greedier and more greedier.
Yep. He gets so hooked on that money. All he cares about is the money. He doesn't care about his family. He doesn't care about
Well, you
anything
figure
except money.
you figure I would have thrown up red flags because not once have you collected,
Twice.
But
but
Three times. No,
this,
3 times. 4 times.
this
The
this will
car.
be the third time you've collected off an insurance.
but
No,
remember
4,
he's in different
because
states.
yeah,
Oh,
he's
that's
been
true.
moving.
So and like the
But
car, yeah,
the Mustang,
I'm
Christina.
not saying that's not suspicious. It is, but it was only $10,000. I mean, I don't know how much
Yeah.
Mustangs are worth. They're probably.
but
I mean,
it's this money's adding up. He's moving different states. He's collected 4 times now. The Mustang, his first wife, the horses, and his son. All different things.
And-
2 of them fires though.
yeah.
And I mean,
Well, they're all fires. Well, no, Levi's wasn't. You're right. His
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
but 3 of them are fires because the car on fire, his first wife
Right.
died in the fire, the horses died in the fire, and the barn, and then the accident quote with
Right.
his son.
And
Lord.
there was a jack.
Ugh.
They showed the jack. It was like an old rickety jack that they
Unlike
said
cars.
shouldn't even been used. It's wiggled so bad.
Jeez.
But and so yeah, the investigators see all this, and then to top it off, he has a 1.2 million policy on his wife. I mean, yeah. So
700.
the police,
And they're not
huh?
together at this time, and he's got.
Didn't they separate?
They separated. So she's living somewhere else because she's scared to death. I mean,
Well,
who wouldn't be?
finally.
She even probably when she wasn't living there, she was probably scared because like, when's he gonna come kill me? Or
Yeah.
what's he gonna do to me?
For 1.2 mil, holy cow!
Yeah.
That greedy jerk. Whoo, baby.
So the police, they're investigating all this. They ask Cindy for help. And so Cindy tries to get him to confess. So she meets him at a restaurant. She has a recorder with her. And she tells him that she needs him to be honest. If he wants her to get back together with him, he has to come
Yeah,
clean
wasn't
with
he
her
at this
about
time
Levi.
trying to get her back to, move in with him or whatever?
Well, yeah, because he wanted to kill her for $1.2
Yeah.
million. But yeah, so
Come on, baby, I love you so much. By the way, I'm a little broke. Can you flip me a 20? You don't have to worry about paying it back because, you might eventually, but still.
Yeah.
Oh, good
So
God.
they go to a restaurant, and he does admit about Levi. But unfortunately, the recorder didn't record very well. There was too much background noise. There just wasn't enough, good audio.
Yeah,
It
this is
wasn't
before
useful.
this is before COVID and everything, where police departments actually got money to invest in a lot of better equipment. What they do, they buy tanks. But sorry, I'm
So,
getting on
well,
a tangent.
So what the police do is they ask her to wear a wire with better equipment. And they actually have, and they try again with a restaurant that they want her to go to. They have undercover agents everywhere in this restaurant. They're, plain clothes, obviously. And they have her wear a wire. She again says, hey, listen, I want to talk to you. I want to get back together. But I kind of need you to really tell me, what happened again. Well, this time, Karl's not stupid.
Yeah, he's probably picked up on.
He knows something's going on. I mean, he even kind of says, what's going on? And she's like, oh, do you want to check my purse? I don't have a recording, And so at this restaurant meeting, he actually denies any of the admissions he made at the other restaurant 2 days before. He says it was an accident. He won't admit it. He's not stupid.
No, honey, I didn't. I was just saying that to test you. Yeah.
Right. So it didn't work, but the investigators decide, okay, it's time. We're going to bring him in to interview him. And it turns into a 9-hour interrogation. They tell him, listen, we know you told your wife that you killed Levi.
And the thing is, people have to realize this is someone that thrives on being in control. So he was probably doing his best to try to control that narrative for the whole 9 hours they were in there.
Well, did, but the investigators were smart.
Oh yeah, those
They
those
knew,
people, they know what they're doing.
Right. They knew from what Cindy had told them that this guy really likes sympathy. I mean, that's why I said I am sure when he met Cindy, he just played up all the sympathy. You know, widow. You know, my wife died in a fire. Woe is me. I have these little girls to take
It
care
sounds like
of.
with
And
the whole sympathy thing, it sounds like a really twisted version of Munchausen syndrome.
right. And so during the interrogation, like I said, it's like 9 hours long. You know, at first he just says, you know, he gives him the story that he was told originally. It was an accident. He was dead when we came home. Well, then halfway through, he's like, okay, well, no, he was actually dead before we left, which makes absolutely no sense. Because if he was, it was still an accident, but he was already dead before. Why would you leave your son there and go to a funeral? I mean, that makes no sense at all. So then, they kind of pat him on the back and they're really trying to get him to confess. Like, they literally, at one point, you know how you use the phrase backed him into a corner? They literally backed him into a corner.
Wow.
During this interrogation. And he finally says that, it was, he jacked the car up over and accidentally, or he pushed it over on him. He makes it sound like an accident, but he did push it over.
I didn't want him to die, but he wanted that money.
Right. So, I mean, they knew how, to get the confession. So, and during this interrogation, because like I said, it was 9 hours, they also talked about the fire with his ex-wife. Like I said, he told them that window was not big enough for Christina to get through. But that was a lie.
Oh, yeah. Because it was in the 80s, I believe, when the fire codes were changed. Because they've had issues like in big cities with people not being able to get out because the windows are so small.
Right.
And that's when they made you have to have a window big enough for an adult to get through in case of a fire.
Right. So.
But like you said, he did put wood over that with 17 nails. So ain't nobody but the Lord Jesus going to get through that window.
But he could have gotten that wood off if he wanted to. Or he could have tried. And he didn't. So
that's the thing. He didn't want to.
Right. He didn't want to. In 2013, he pleaded out. He made a plea deal. He was charged with second-degree murder and some kind of insurance fraud charge. Well, the insurance fraud charge was dropped as part of the plea deal. But to take this plea deal, he has to tell the court what really happened. So this is where it gets really bad. He jacked up the car up on a wobbly jack, knowing that it was going to fall. He pushed it over and left his son there, who was still alive.
Oh my gosh.
And walked away from that truck and went to the funeral.
So they were gone 4 hours and he knew it.
He knew, and when he confessed to that,
awful.
He showed no remorse whatsoever. I saw him, and he showed no remorse at all.
Well, I mean,
he was still alive. He still could have been saved. And he walked away.
And that's not even, I mean, that's the biggest point. But that's your son, man. He's got he's trying to take care of your grandkids. And all you see is dollar signs.
Right. And so he was sentenced 15 years to life. That's the sentence he got. Well, because of this case with Levi, and because Christina Karlson's family was pushing really hard to get this, their fire, Christina's fire, investigated, they reopened it. And in 2014, they charged Karl Karlson with first-degree murder.
He should have gotten a death penalty. I'm sorry.
And, well, he was sentenced to life without parole in 2020.
He should have gotten a death penalty.
Now, where was he living
originally? Money is the root of all evil. That's right, Jamie. It is.
Yep.
But here is the last caveat I will tell you. The last little surprise that I kind of left for the end. Okay? He was sentenced to life without parole. It was found out in the investigation. remember all that money he was supposed to spend on his grandkids, right? That he never really saw the grandkids. He'd go over once in a while. Like I said, ask the mom, "Oh, do you need food?"
Basically, token visits.
Before he was arrested, he was trying to have a relationship with his grandkids. Want to know why?
He wanted to put insurance on them.
He already had a
No,
life insurance
not
policy
the
on them.
babies, you piece of garbage.
Yeah, I can't remember for how much. I don't know if it was, they said, I don't have it in my notes. But it was he had a life and policy on those two grandkids.
One sick individual.
Yeah, one sick puppy, as my sister would say.
He
Dude.
just has no morals, no
Because he spent
empathy.
bet money. He has all that before he put the insurance policies on his granddaughters. Because that Cindy said they were bleeding money because of that duck farm idea. He was bleeding money before. That duck farm was just like a smokescreen.
Every time he needed money, he'd find something to kill or something to set fire to.
Yeah.
So obviously he was not good with money.
No, because
even that prize mare that they had, I think it was like, I know I saw a video. This was like 6-7 months ago when I was actually watching this case. He bought this mare thinking it would be, I don't know if it would be a stud or he was going to make money off of this horse, and for some reason he
wanted a breeding mare.
Yeah, I could be. Don't quote me on that, but he was going to make money off of this horse, and for some reason that didn't work out. So he was always bad at business decisions. So this was his business. Let's kill somebody, get money, and I'll find
I was going to say
business.
that's his main MO is, some kind of shoddy business idea. When that goes awry, we just burn it or get rid of it, and collect the insurance.
Right. So
that's like Mob Guy 101. That's how they start out. They develop their crime ideas. Thank God he got. It's a shame that he got caught after he destroyed property. He took lives, and he was planning on his.
What really bothers me is if that report, if they had listened to that original fire. Guy's report. The guy that investigated it.
Yeah, his son would be still alive.
His son would still be alive.
And he probably would have been, he might have been, gotten charged, possibly be in jail or prison for, but no, that paperwork gets lost, and I don't know what to tell you.
If they had allowed him to go question Karl.
Yeah.
If the police investigator, detective had been allowed to go to New York.
Too much money out in the budget. Go do what you're going to do.
But how suspicious is that? You don't even wait for your wife to be put in the ground.
That is so suspicious and dirty.
Yep.
4 days.
I mean, he packed his kids, packed his stuff, and said, sayonara. Her family was grieving. They barely had time to plan the funeral, and his behind was gone so quick. Yeah. I'm surprised her family didn't go after him with shotguns and pitchforks.
Well, I mean, they kept, like I said, I think they
did it the legal way, which is good, and they kept on about wanting to investigate and everything. I'm just saying, my family I know for 100% is redneck hillbilly. They'd have been like, what is that Patrick Swayze movie, Next of Kin, where the guy's driving a semi and he gets caught by some low-level mob guy and he gets killed, and at one point in the movie, Patrick Swayze is telling somebody, I got 3 counties worth of kin wanting to find justice. Their idea as justice is, we're going to take this guy out in the middle of the woods, and we're going to make him a scarecrow. Because that's kind of people I come from.
I think that Jamie kind of pretty much summed up this whole episode.
Money is the root of all evil.
Money's the root of all evil, and that's what drove Karlson. But now he's sitting in a cell in New York. He's going to do his time in New York, and once that's up, he'll go to California for the remainder of his time here on Earth, because he won't get parole in that case. So,
and I know as a good Christian, you're not supposed to pray for stuff like this, but there are people in this world that deserve something they call Gen Pop justice.
Oh
Put
yeah.
them in with general population in prison or in jail, and you tell them this guy killed his kids for money, killed his first wife for money. You know what them guys will do? Because a lot of them have kids, have wives or girlfriends at home they care about. He won't see the light of day, and if he does, it's going to be painful.
So Cleveland fan 1990 says, "This is why I'm glad I'm broke and not worth a dime."
Amen, brother. Amen.
I agree.
That's what you think. You don't know about the surprise life support or life
Life
insurance
support.
line gone.
That's not nice. That is not nice.
Now I will tell you one last little thing. Well, two last little things. In 2020, I don't know if this was before or after his conviction for his first wife. He tried
Yeah.
to say that he didn't kill Levi. That when when he took that plea deal, it was under duress. Which whatever. And Cindy cashed out those life insurance policies on the girls so they wouldn't have that policy hanging over their heads.
Yeah, sure.
So
Everyone. Oh, she cashed them out.
she
Okay,
cashed them out. So that way there would be no policy put on them.
that's good.
I don't know what she did. I don't know how you can. I don't know enough about that, but she did
Well,
not.
she should. If she was a good person, she should have cashed them out and given the money to the mother to take care of them girls.
Yeah.
Whether the mother would take care of the girls, no, but I don't know. Nobody knows
Well,
because there's not
apparently,
much.
I seen something. They're doing good. They're
That's good.
like as of like 2020, they were like in their like mid-teens, and they're doing well. They know about their dad. Like their dad is talked about all the time. They know of their dad, so
I hope they know how much he cared for them
Yeah.
because
so,
I'll tell you
I
what,
mean,
honestly, these cases that we've talked about where kids are hurt or killed because of some scumbag people, it makes me so thankful that my wound didn't work, honestly, because I mean, I'm not saying I would hurt kids because I always wanted to have kids. I like, I like talking to kids. I like getting to know them because, I mean, especially nowadays, because there's these kids nowadays, they have no idea. And I hate to sound like an old person. I feel like an old person when I say this. They have no idea what it was like to grow up when we grew up, the three of us, because Susan and I are part of Johnny Blaze's at the tail end. Susan and I are Gen Xers. We grew up with when computers were coming in. We grew up with dial-up.
yeah.
I'm a Gen Xer.
I said you're the tail end. You're almost the next generation. You're 1980. But Susan and
You
I
know-
grew up. What?
I just looked it up.
Sorry.
I know exactly where he's at. He's in Clinton Correctional Facility, and guess where his time for the murder of his son ends in 2027,
Yeah.
So
and then
he's
he'll
got-
be and then he'll
Transferred
be
to
transferred
California.
to California.
Yep.
And
But
I
you know
hope he
what?
goes.
You know what that means?
Hmm.
Oh, he's gonna be coming through Ohio.
Okay.
So he's got. Hopefully, he'll be in one of them like big old. Well-
There's nothing he's gonna do. I saw him when he was coming out of court
Yeah.
after sentencing. He's using a walker. Now,
Oh,
whether
he's
that
like
was sympathy or not, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell when people come out because their lawyers are gonna get them to do whatever they can for all the sympathy they can get. He might be a broken down old man.
But I mean, he could
But-
be because he talked during his interrogation. He talked about how all his aches and pains. Like he literally shared everything with these investigators.
Ah, boo-hoo.
About
You
his
know what this
knees
is?
And this and that. Yeah.
You know what this is, dude? This is the world's smallest violin playing just for you. No one
But-
cares. You killed your family.
But those interrogators fed right into that, and that's why they got their confession
Yep.
from him
Because people like
they
that
played
are,
into that.
like Johnny Blaze said, people like that are narcissists. They want you to feed into it. They know how to fit. Investigators know how to feed into it and not get wrapped up in it. They can.
Yep.
They get in there, they get what they need, and they get out. A lot of people that are not trained to recognize narcissistic behavior, they get wrapped up in it. They don't know how to get out. They get caught up in the narcissist web of lies and BS.
Hmm.
Okay, well, that's all we have this week for Sibling Sleuth.
Holy cat, this
Uh,
was a roller coaster.
yeah, interesting case, sad case.
Next week is going to be even better.
So we will see you next week. Thanks for watching. Again, please make sure you like the stream. If you like the stream, that pushes us out.
Subscribe,
so
like.
other people.
We're here for you.
And please, if there is a case you want us to cover, please comment below, and we will certainly take it into consideration. We want to cover what y'all want to hear. So
Okay, special
ask
announcement.
for a lawyer. Who needs that? Yeah, you should always ask for a lawyer before you get interrogated. And that's honestly what Karlson should have done.
Do you need a lawyer,
Oh, it
Cleveland?
says never
I
talk to
just
the
have to ask.
cops, even... No, Cleveland fan said never talk to the cops, even if you're innocent. And that's right. You don't. I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
that is. I mean, even all lawyers tell you that. You know,
The second
even
second
if you're,
you tell them, well, before they interrogate you, they have to ask you, do you want to talk to us? And they make you sign a piece of paper stating that they read you your rights, asked them if you want to interrogate. So if you sign that paper, well, then they can start interrogating you. But once they start interrogating, the second you say, nope, I need a lawyer, they have to stop.
Yeah,
law.
because there's a case, I cannot remember what it was. I saw it a couple days ago. And maybe Cleveland fan knows of it. Because I know he watches a lot of stuff on YouTube. But
I do too.
they may have stuff thrown out because they didn't read him his rights. Who is it? I don't even remember.
You said him, so I'm wondering if
think
it's
it
a
was-
guy, it's not who I'm thinking of.
But yeah, they said that he didn't get read his rights or... Oh, it's the guy in Ohio. That he killed his 3 sons. Like execution style. Yeah,
Yep.
like they interrogated him. And apparently some procedure was done wrong. And so that interrogation is going to be
It's going thrown out.
And he's going to plead insanity, I guess. So I don't know. That'll be an interesting case that I'd like to cover. But I kind of want to wait until it kind of goes through the court.
I got a case we can cover here in Ravenna,
But we showed that there's a cop cam video of this guy when they went to go get him. But he was
Somebody
like,
else.
he was outside waiting nonchalantly, but they like went in and got him because, like, yeah, it was bad. So that's something we'll definitely have to look at. But we'll kind of wait and see what happens. With the
I just have a
court.
quick question. Is anybody else besides me obsessed with these body cam videos they're showing on YouTube now?
Yeah.
And it
Oh,
shows how ratchet these people are when they pick them up, and especially like the drunks or the Karens of the world. And you don't talk to me like that. I'm an important person. Really? Because I don't know your name. Live your ID, dumbass. Sorry. Pardon my language. I'm sorry.
We're gonna beep you out.
You might have to because I didn't mean to slip. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
special announcement.
No.
I received an email. I'm not going to give the person's name, but in May, for those of you who do not know, I believe it starts May 13th. So the week prior to that, I don't think so, Dan. I'll get my channel.
Cover Chili,
Block.
get your views there, come after you. Who?
No, we're not covering him because I'll get blocked.
No, not that idiot.
Yeah, but starting
Cleveland fan, watch yourself.
May 13th, Richard Allen goes to trial, and I may be able to get a special guest.
Ooh, interesting. Is it who we talked about previously?
No,
Really? Somebody else?
I don't remember who we talked about. As soon as I get a confirmation, I will announce who it is.
I'm
But
older
starting-
than you all, and you're Iron Man.
Starting on the third, and that'll probably be like, we'll cover that until the actual verdict comes through.
Okay.
I still can't
So-
believe Cleveland fan said cover Chili. Oh my!
I'm
Ask
not
Johnny
covering
Blaze-
that idiot. I'm not going
ask
to give
Johnny
that more
Blaze
any
about-
more clout. Well, I'll tell you who.
He's a
Chili
clout
is later.
chaser.
Oh, okay.
He's so. I was gonna say, Susan asked Johnny Blaze about Chili. That guy's dude's a trip. Like seriously. Oh my gosh.
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and end this. So we will see you hopefully next week. Thank you for watching. Remember to hit like.